Millions of TV streaming service users in the UK are breaking the law by sharing their passwords for their accounts. That's according to the piracy guidelines published by Britain's Intellectual Property Office. Joining us live now is Tegan Jones, senior tech reporter at SmartCompany. Tegan, sharing passwords for streaming services is pretty common. How likely is it that we're going to see customers in the UK actually penalised for doing this?
Look, it's really unclear. Even some of the wording from IPO has already changed on the website. So it's hard to say. It's also one of those things that's really hard to crack down on. We know that in the North America, for example, Netflix said there's about 30 million different users across their suite that are sharing passwords. Now, the UK is not as big, but it's going to be really hard to try and police that.
It is difficult to actually prove someone is sharing an account. What action can Netflix actually take here?
Look, it's hard to say. We already know that they're trying to take some measures to get people to pay to share passwords instead. But, I mean, we know that they can at least see when it's happening, probably from IP addresses and things like that. But it's really hard to say. I don't know what sort of action they really could take when it's happening on such a large scale, other than them trying to monetize this instead.
Netflix will be rolling out new features next year, such as sub-accounts. What difference is that going to make to users and also the company?
Yeah, so the sub-accounts are basically just a way to try and charge people to add different households to their accounts instead. We're not sure how much it's going to be in Australia just yet. They have been trialing it in Latin America, and it was about $3 USD to add that to an account. So maybe it would be around $5 here if I was to speculate. But what it basically means is that the higher subscription account that you have, so a basic versus an advanced one, for example, you can add more households to it. Now, the difference it might mean that people actually will legally do this now, but they haven't actually said whether they're going to crack down on people not using this service as well. They're just trying to encourage people to do so. So it's going to be very interesting.
Do you think we'll see other streaming services cracking down on people sharing accounts and passwords apart from Netflix?
You know, it's really interesting. None of the other big players in the space have really yelled about this as much as Netflix. And I think that's because the landscape has really changed. You know, back in the day, Netflix was really the only major streaming service. And now there's a lot more competitors out there. So I think this is why earlier in the year, it lost a huge valuation on its stock. It was losing subscribers en masse because there's so many other players in market. So maybe they don't really need to at least publicly be talking about this quite as much yet, because they're perhaps in a stronger position than Netflix at the moment, or at least on the way to be.
Okay, Tegan, I want to talk to you about Elon Musk. Elon Musk says he's going to step down as chief executive of Twitter. What does that mean for the future of the social media company? You know,
Elon Musk says a lot of things. And look, with Twitter at the moment, things are changing every few hours in some cases. And this isn't really a new thing that he said. Back in November in court, Musk did say that he would be looking for someone to take over as CEO eventually. This is just the latest iteration of that off the back of a Twitter poll that he put up. And so, look, I do think we are going to get that new CEO, but I'm just not entirely sure when. Look, your guess is as good as mine, honestly.
That's right. So you're not sure how quickly we're going to see a new person appointed?
No, not yet. And we don't even know necessarily who Musk is thinking of. There is certainly some contenders out there. Look, Snoop Dogg did put his hand up on Twitter, but that is unlikely to happen. There's also been some speculation around Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, taking the job simply because the two were hanging out at the World Cup. But if I was to put my money on it, it might be one of Musk's lieutenants, such as David Sachs, that's been helping him in this transition with the company. But, like, honestly, it's very hard to say. We knew this was coming, but when it comes to Twitter and when it comes to Elon Musk, anything can really happen, as we've seen since he took over.
That's right. And even though Elon Musk is going to be stepping down as CEO, or he says that he will still own Twitter. So it's not really the end of the Musk Twitter show, is it?
Oh, no, not at all. I think he likes the attention far too much. And look, even in the tweet where he said, look, I am going to step down, he was a little bit trolly in that. You know, he said something along the lines of, when I find someone foolish enough to take over. But he also said that he would be in charge of some of the day-to-day still. So he'll definitely still be involved. But it'll be interesting, though, because there's obviously been pressure from Tesla, probably to scale back a little bit. We know that the stocks have plummeted, and there's, you know, been some speculation around whether he is actually in violation of what he's supposed to be doing for the Tesla board as well at the moment. So some people are saying that maybe that Twitter poll was more pressure from Tesla, that he was hiding behind a bit of a joke.
Okay, well, we'll still have to keep watching this space. Tegan Jones, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.